All right, and welcome everyone to another edition of Extreme Sports. We're back once again. My brothers are in the building with me. My good brother Dolph is here. Good brother Eli West is here. Matt Craig is here. And we got a lot of NBA news to talk about tonight because ironically it all broke today. The NBA world it blew up in shambles today. I mean, I woke up to these two notifications from Adrian Wojnarowski, better known as Woj from ESPN, about Chris Paul and Kawhi Leonard. And I just raised up out of my bed like, what did I just read? And then throughout the course of the day, news that came about Scott Brooks, and then Stan Van Gundy, and LaMelo Ball, and Donnie Nelson. Like, it was a domino effect today. But we're going to touch on all of that. But let me just start off by simply saying a thank you to everyone out there who wished me a happy birthday last week. I celebrated my 25th birthday last week. And to my two good brothers right here, Dolph and Eli, I appreciate you guys so much for last week. Y'all have no idea how much my soul needed that. And I say that to my entire family as well that I saw last week. Y'all have no idea how much that home, just that home feel, that home cooking, just that home everything, I needed that. And I hope to see all of you guys again soon, whether it's you coming to see me or whether I'm coming to see you. But before we get into the topics, I just want to take a moment here to just say this to everybody out there. Take that time and make those phone calls and make those visits and make that time for the people that you love and the people that love you, that you care about very deeply. And I'm saying this to you guys on good circumstances too, because normally we hear people say things like this after someone is very sick or injured very terribly or has passed away. I'm saying this to you guys just based on the format of the great time that my brothers here and we had last week, the great time I had with my family last week, and just being able to be around people who love you and care about you for who you are and not what you can do for them. I'm going to say that again because that needs to be understood. Allow yourself to have that quality time with people who love you for who you are and not what you can do for them, and vice versa, because that's very important. Dolph, as always, it's good to be here. Do you have anything that you'd like to add to what I just said?
Yeah, first of all, just, glad to be back on the show. Definitely had a good time with the family last week, man. Always great to see y'all. But as far as what you said, I mean, you hit it right on the head. Take time to reach out, check in, and always make sure the people who care about you, are doing well, because you never know what's really going on in somebody's life. So, for all y'all out there, just make sure y'all checking in and being aware of the people around you.
And Eli, I know family is something that's very near and dear to your heart with the close-knit family that you have there. Would you like to add anything to what I just said?
Hey, man, I'll always say this. Biggest thing about me is, family, friendships. I don't have too many friends. I got a very small circle, and I got like two of you guys in that circle. So, really, it's a group of four of us. So, I'm huge on that. Haven't seen you in a long time, Xavier, even though it was last year I saw you, but it feels like it's been 5 years. We used to being around each other every day. So it was a blessing being around all you guys because it just felt like as if it was college all over again. Nothing's ever changed. We all still one big family. It's amazing. So same thing I would always say, just like you guys said, keep your loved ones close. Of course, as always, even those that you even have enemies with, I don't make enemies. Everyone, I feel love for everybody in this world, no matter what someone's done to me. Of course, the way you communicate with them on a daily basis, may change, but always keep love in your heart, no matter what someone may have done to you in the past or anything like that. So appreciate it.
Yeah, you hit the nail right on the head when you talked about how I was back to college. I felt like I was back at SSU with you guys all the week last week. And once again, you guys have never heard me refer to Dolph and Eli and our brother Malik as my friends. You hear me refer to them as my brothers. We have that type of bond with each other. Like, seriously, these are my brothers from another, and it's vice versa as well. Brother Matt Craig is in the building as well. And Matt, we're going to get you on with us one day too, bro, to come out here and have a good time with us too. But how you doing, bro? How's everything going out there?
Doing good, man. Doing good. I just echo everything y'all said, just 1,000%. Doing good, though.
That's great to hear. We're glad to see everybody in good spirits and see everybody's doing well tonight. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, I want to continue to reiterate that we are still in a pandemic. Yes, I was with my brothers last week, but we were very smart about the things that we did as well. And as well as when I was with my family, we were smart about the things we did as well. I say all that to say that we need to continue to be cognizant and be aware of the fact that this virus is still a thing. Variants are going around, and even though vaccines are being issued, they can affect people differently. And just because you get a vaccination does not mean that you are immune to catching COVID-19. These are things that everyone needs to understand before we all decide to go buck wild crazy, having a good time like we are back in 2019 and 2018. We're not there yet. We're getting there, but we need to continue to be smart and we need to continue to be cognizant of those things. So with that being said, let's jump into tonight's show with our first topic at hand. It is the looming breaking news as we all await the news out of Los Angeles regarding one Kawhi Leonard. Like I said, I woke up to a text message this morning saying that Kawhi Leonard was going to be likely out for Game 5, and he told his teammates, according to Woj, that prepare to be without me for the rest of the series. And it kind of caught me off guard because, number one, I didn't finish the game the other night. I had to wake up and go to work the next morning. I had to go be productive in life. So I didn't finish the game. But when I woke up the next morning, I saw, Kawhi Leonard's knee injury scare. But then I saw he said in the press conference, I'm good. So I thought that was the end of it. And then seeing that this morning, I'm really hopeful that this does not end up being like the Klay Thompson situation in 2019. It's not looking too good right now. Remember, Klay injured his knee in Game 6 of the finals in 2019. And he came back out on the floor. He shot those free throws. He was in a little pain, but we were also hearing the broadcasters, they were saying that, it's still a possibility he could return to the game. 10 minutes later, Klay Thompson, we were hearing that his knee was he was in the locker room, he was in the training room, his knee was flaring up, and they were taking him to the hospital for an MRI. And what was confirmed an hour later as the Toronto Raptors were celebrating their first NBA championship on the Golden State Warriors' then home floor Oracle Arena was that Klay Thompson had a torn ACL. I'm hoping that that is not the case with Kawhi Leonard, but sources are saying that he has suffered some form of ACL injury, or at least that's what the Clippers are fearing. And man, oh man, how the world turned upside down just within a span of 24 hours in the NBA world with that type of news. Dolph, what was your reaction when you first heard that news this morning?
Like you, I didn't catch the end of the game. I saw a highlight of it, and just off the look of it, it didn't really look too good. He just came up hobbling, and a lot of those injuries are non-contact. And it kind of looked in that situation that's what it was. So this morning I see, okay, he's going to be out for Game 5, and then boom, he's out with the ACL. Which I seen some reports saying that he has a torn ACL, and then some mixed. But we know that he's going to be out. But that's a big blow for the Clippers. That they had finally swung the momentum in this series. They went back home and won 2 games, and they were heading back to Utah with some momentum. And Kawhi going down is going to be a huge loss for them because we all know what he does for that team. He's the leader of that team. He puts up a lot of points offensively, defensively. He's a stopper. So, it's going to be a big loss for the Clippers.
Yeah, not only just a big loss for the Clippers. Let's talk about a big loss for the league and us as fans in general. Because no LeBron, Giannis is disappointing right now. It's been a slew of injuries throughout the course of this season. And this was pretty much expected, unfortunately, because it's a compressed season. And the last time the league had this type of compressed season, the 2011-2012 season, with the lockout shortened season that year, and they compressed 66 games, and we saw a slew of injuries happen that season too. But just here in the playoffs alone, my goodness. Donovan Mitchell's been banged up. Luka's been banged up. LeBron was reportedly playing on a bad ankle. Anthony Davis was banged up. We're a lot of injuries happening here. So I'll go to Matt first, and then we'll come to Eli. Matt, of course, we've had our back and forths about the Clippers and the Lakers and how I feel about Kawhi Leonard, how I feel about the Clippers and their organization. But I'm pretty sure you echo the sentiments that I say when I say that this is just a very unfortunate blow for everybody involved, not just the Clippers organization, but the Clippers fans, us as NBA fans. Just not a good look for the game right now.
Yeah, I agree. It sucked for Kawhi, especially seeing that he he's always extra cautious with his health as far as game management, sitting out games, and not playing back to back. So to put this kind of toll on his body in the playoffs, it's caught up with him. So it does suck for Kawhi, and I wish him a speedy recovery. Hopefully, it's not a torn ACL because that would be bad just for his overall health. But him as a player, he's been playing phenomenal. Just like Dolph said, they swung the momentum back in their way. So it looked like they was coming back to win this series. So for them to lose Kawhi, their best player, one of the top 5 players in the NBA, on top of all the other injuries we dealing with in the NBA, it just sucks for everybody involved. And I wish him a speedy recovery because I'm actually a fan of Kawhi. I mean, I'm a fan of pretty much all players. There's no player I least dislike. But yeah, I like Kawhi though, just to see his progression from where he came from to just being a defensive stopper to a superstar Finals MVP, 2-time Finals MVP player is amazing. And hopefully he does it. It's not a torn ACL and he has to miss all the next season because he's going into a free agent year. So what does that mean for the Clippers? Are they going to still max him out? Are they going to give him a 1-year deal? Like, what would that mean for him and the Clippers with their future? Like, I would hope they do right by him and give him the contract, but at the end of the day, they trying to look out for the best well-being in their organization. So it just sucks all around. So hopefully he's not out for the whole season. Hopefully he still gets his money. I'm always a component of getting your money, even if you suck. If you can get a team to give you $100 million, if you suck, get that $100 million. If you Nicholas Batum, you better Nicholas Batum your way to $100 million. Because get your money, because these owners don't care about you or your family. So get all that money. So yeah, I just for Kawhi, wish him a speedy recovery, and hopefully he'll be back soon. Paul George, the stage is yours.
Yeah, we're going to touch on him in just a second, where we give our thoughts on exactly where we think these Clippers can go as far as not having Kawhi right now. But Eli, go ahead and just bring us home with this one really quickly and just give us your reaction when you first found out about Kawhi Leonard news.
Yeah, sure thing. So, Kawhi Leonard, amazing basketball player. I loved Kawhi since, he played in San Antonio. So one of the things about this entire series is a dynamic shift at this point. It's really, I don't want to compare it to how my Nets were because Paul George is not in the same space as Kevin Durant, but Paul George now has, the spotlight to kind of dictate almost like his career shift. Like he's in the big spotlight again, like he was in Indiana. And now it's like time to kind of revisit that life. But Kawhi Leonard in general, the way he impacts the game, is a lot different than anybody that's on that team. Both offensively, defensively, whether he's getting his teammates open, he's a very great basketball player on all 3 levels of the game when it comes to scoring as well as, just playing on a defensive end. So I think that this right here, this news in general, is similar like LeBron when he was mad about this, when he keeps advocating about player health and, people taking days off. I think it's very important that we need to start really looking into that more in the future. I get it in the past. Players played through all this and all that in third. But, I mean, you look at the lifespan of a lot of these players afterwards, a lot of these players that played back in the past dealing with a lot more injuries and after they retired versus, what we can prevent in the future with some of the athletes we have now. So, having those rest days when you have these long seasons, especially as we transition going back to regular season next year.
Yeah, I want to thank you for bringing up that point that you brought up about how players used to do things in the old days, because you hear those old heads brag about that stuff a lot, but I'll raise one question to each and every one of them. If you could be more cognizant and take better care of yourself for your long-term future and your long-term career and even your long-term health after the game, would you have done it? I bring this point up because weeks ago, when the Lakers were still in the playoffs coming into Game 5, Charles Barkley was referring to Anthony Davis as Anthony Street Clothes Davis. And many people found that to be funny. I didn't think that was humorous at all, just being quite honest with you, because here's the question I raised to Charles Barkley. You talk about the injuries that you played through. Well, Chuck, they shortened your career. You played through knee injuries. You played through quad injuries. Yeah, we understand that. Big, tough guy. But it shortened your career. It shortened the prime of your career. And you know that if you could possibly go back and do it all over, you probably would consider doing that. I'm never going to give these players necessarily a hard time for not playing through injuries. Now, it's a difference in between being hurt and being injured. When you're hurt, sometimes you gut it out and you go out there and play, depending on the area of you that is hurt. But when you're injured, sit down, dog. Sit down, sit on the bench. Don't jeopardize your long-term future like that. And I'm still very upset with the Lakers organization for how they handle Anthony Davis. And we need to put the Brooklyn Nets organization on alert right now, too, because James Harden played 46 minutes last night. I'm not going to get into what his stat line looked like because I could care less about that. The biggest thing I cared about going into that game was, please don't let James Harden go out here and rip his hamstring in half. That's the biggest thing I cared about last night. But let's go into the predictions that we now possibly see for the Clippers going forward. Matt, do you have anything you want to add before we get into that?
I remember you being one of the ones saying LeBron should have played on his ankle. You was comparing him and Kobe, saying Kobe would have played, but now you're talking about you are pro-injury now. But you was giving LeBron James a hard time about his ankle.
You're absolutely right about that, and I was wrong for that. Even though I didn't really mean it, I never should have said those things. Players, take care of yourselves. And, sometimes we say things in the heat of the moment with our teams because we're emotional about the game and we just want to see our teams do well. And I didn't see the Lakers moving well in the right direction then, so I wanted to see him play. But it absolutely would have devastated me had he gone out there and broken that ankle if he wasn't ready to play. Now, with that being said, Matt, LeBron James was the person who came out here with a video on Instagram running at 2 miles per hour in the gym, saying that he was ready to come back and play. Also playing Kendrick Lamar's Real song in the background where he's saying, I'm real, I'm really, really real. And LeBron even quoted that too. So I'm just going to throw that out there at you too.
Wasn't that before he re-injured it though? Against the Pelicans?
Yes, but my point is maybe he still wasn't ready to play then.
But he looked fine. Those 2 games before he re-injured it, he looked fine. All I'm saying is, like, after he heard it again, he ain't look like himself again. That's just what I saw.
Eli, do you have anything you want to
No, not on that, man. Nah.
All right, so let's move into our predictions of where we think the Clippers are. And Matt pretty much already started us there because now is the time for the self-proclaimed Mr. Playoff P to show up. It's your time, Paul George. We need you to be the Paul George that you were for the Indiana Pacers in 2013, except for that Game 7 against Miami in the Eastern Conference Finals when that was just absolutely atrocious. But now is your time. You have proclaimed yourself to be playoff P. Kawhi is out. The stage is yours. No excuses anymore, brother. If you don't go out there and get it done, or if you don't go out there and look commendable, Steve Ballmer should trade you. Point blank, period. Because there's no reason for him to continue paying you at that rate if you were brought there to help win a championship. When the Clippers signed Kawhi Leonard and they traded for Paul George, which Kawhi Leonard wanted them to do, the goal was to bring the Clippers their first NBA championship. Now, do I think they're going to win an NBA championship without Kawhi Leonard? Absolutely not. But they still do have enough right now to get out of this series with Utah. And it should be noted that Utah is missing one of their key players right now, too, Mike Conley Jr., who is not playing in Game 5 tonight either. So it can be done. So will it be done? Matt, I'll start with you.
They about to get blown out, man. It's not even possible without Kawhi. Like, they about to probably lose by 30 in both these games. No cap. Like, Paul George, like, where you got Paul George in the NBA right now? Top 15? Top 10? Top 20?
I have him top 20. He has fell down in my rankings because, look, you got to give these young stars their due. You got to give Trae Young and Luka and Jason Tatum, Donovan Mitchell. You got to give these guys their due.
That's my point. So you can't expect a top 20 player to carry a team past the number 1 ranked team record-wise in the NBA. Can't do it. Utah got the best record in the NBA for a reason. He can't. He not gonna be able to do that. Top 20 player. If he was top 5, maybe.
Well,
Top 5 at the
what can the pieces around him also do? That's going to be another question. Can Reggie Jackson keep going out here and playing big games and hitting key shots? Can Marcus Morris step up and do things tonight? Can Nick Batum step up and do things tonight? Can playoff Rondo finally show up, or is he just too old to actually be playoff Rondo? Do they play Boogie Cousins some more? He was presenting some problems when Rudy Gobert wasn't necessarily on the floor in Game 2 and Game 3. So there are some ways that they can get this done.
The only thing they can do is play lockdown defense. That's it. If they can play lockdown defense, then Paul George can take them there if it's late, if he's having a good game, and Reggie Jackson is having a good game. Because Reggie Jackson been having pretty good games this whole series. But outside of that, if they defense is not on point, this game gonna be over early, sooner or early. But if their defense is on point, if they going after it, if the Morris brother, Rondo, Reggie, Paul, Boogie, all them, if they going at it on defense, that's their only chance. But offensively, they ain't got enough.
Here's my concern about them playing lockdown defense, though. You can try to clamp down on – because, see, they haven't been able to stop Donovan Mitchell at all. Even with a healthy Kawhi, they haven't been able to slow down Donovan Mitchell at all. And this is even with him having a nagging ankle injury right now himself. My concern is the defensive game plan that they go in with. Do they go in and try to just completely lock down on Donovan Mitchell and say everybody else beat us, or do you let Donovan Mitchell get his and tell everybody else you try to help beat us? Now, I think that's a dangerous game to play too, because if you give Donovan Mitchell a chance to go out and give you 50, he will go out there and give you 50. He is something special.
I agree, but I feel like they about to lose these next 2 games. This series is gonna be over quick.
Well, okay. Eli, let's go to you next. Where do you think that this series is headed?
I mean, I'm kind of on the side with Matt here, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. I mean, I enjoy Paul George over Paul George, but when it comes down to this series, as I said earlier when I was getting to that segment, is that Paul George is not the same space as Kevin Durant. So I can't really say Paul George is gonna carry this team without some real help. I mean, I don't see enough help happening with Paul George on the offensive side to help him out. The only thing they can't do is play defense enough. And, Donovan Mitchell's still going to have his 30. That's not going to stop. So it's like you're going to play defense enough just to kind of let Paul George get a feel for the fourth quarter late game. I think, like, if they're playing great defense and all that, it's still going to be a late game win. I don't see them going out there and being up by 10, 15 in this game. I see them like possibly trailing majority of this game and then possibly trying to come back in the fourth last minute to even win this game. But as Matt said, I think this is going to be a testament to how much of an impact Kawhi truly makes to this team and exactly how much Paul George truly has left in his tank. That's what it's going to show.
And the Utah Jazz will have a literal and proverbial 6-man on their side tonight. That amazing fan base that they have. And I'm not calling their fans amazing in the sense of, oh, they're good people. No, they're good fans. Because we know Utah has had some incidents over the years, but we're not going to get too much into that because I'm not throwing accusations out there on anybody. But in the first 2 games in Salt Lake City, that fan base brought it. Them and Phoenix, they've had the 2 best fan bases in the league right now. Now, if the Knicks were still in the playoffs, I do believe that Madison Square Garden would be giving both of them a run for their money right now as far as the best and most passionate fan base. But that place is going to be rocking tonight, and especially knowing that Kawhi is out. They know that they've got a shot to really take control of this series tonight. And also the big domino effect in all of this with Kawhi being out and also Mike Conley Jr. being out, tonight is also a chance for Tyronn Lue to show you who he is as a head coach. Because Quinn Snyder is viewed in many circles as a top 6, top 7 head coach in the league, and Ty Lue can't even crack the mark. So, Randolph, who is more this pressure on?
I lose a bit of coaching Quinn Snyder, though.
The pressure is on Utah for the rest of the series because the best player possibly in the series is out for the Clippers. Kawhi Leonard. So Utah at home tonight. Kawhi's out. We don't know what we're going to get from Paul George. I think the pressure's on them because it's their series to lose at this point. But as far as from the Clippers, you seen last night with KD, he got like 28 from Jeff Green, 17 from Blake. So he got a little bit of assistance on top of his 49. You know, I don't know if Paul George, the rest of the guys, they have that. You know, Marcus Morris, it's up and down with him. Reggie Jackson, the same thing. So they're going to need, like, big performances from those others if they're going to take, you know, 2 games in this series to win this series. But I still think Utah is going to win it just due to the fact that losing Kawhi is going to do so much damage to the Clippers that I don't think they have enough, you know, to overcome them.
All right, well, let me ask y'all this then, and then we'll jump on into our next topic. We've seen the Clippers running this small ball lineup so far, and that's what they've had success with, putting Nick Batum at the 5. Does that need to change up tonight? Do they need to go bigger tonight with Zubac or Boogie to try to have more of an impact on this game?
They probably will, just to change the lineup up. Cause for a while, so they probably go side Zubac in, start Zubac, and go at it like that. But ain't much they can do.
It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be real hard.
Get them out of here quick. Get them out of here early. Go ahead and get to the next round, so y'all can get Phoenix out of here next. Just to get it done.
Well, now.
Get it out of here, yeah. But they ain't much they can do. They can start Zubac. I mean, they probably gonna start Zubac. But Donovan been dealing with an injury himself. They missed Mike Conley, so you know what I'm saying. Everybody dealing with something.
And they still can't
exactly
stop.
why I don't believe that this series is exactly over for the Clippers just yet. If they can just come out and, like you said, play lockdown defense and play efficient team basketball. Now, Kawhi Leonard is one of the more efficient players in the league, so he makes that go. I don't know if they're going to be as efficient without him. I don't know if they have that in them or not. But
it's easier for them to key in on George now that Kawhi's gone. And then and it's going to come down to the others now. They're going to have to hit big shots.
The others have to step up.
So I'm going to go to Eli on this one to close out this topic. Him being the basketball savant that he is with this. And I say that because he's sat in many AAU camps over the years, many high school games, studying and watching his younger brother, Jamar. Shout out to Mar. Good seeing you last week, little bro, playing the game. If you had to put the matchups together tonight for the Clippers, the best, most effective lineup that you put out there on the floor knowing that Kawhi is out, who would you go with?
Boy, honestly, that's a hard thing to say because I still on the lines with Matt and Randolph on here. It's like their game planning was based off of Kawhi possibly coming back, and you know that now he's out indefinitely, and you have to kind of make a last-minute adjustment. And last-minute adjustments don't necessarily work out at the NBA level. You know, we're talking about, you know, high school, AAU, and stuff like that. You know, even my brother in college, you know, last-minute adjustments can kind of work out because, you know, someone can have an off night. The NBA is like it's very few and rare that you see someone have a legit off night 2 games back-to-back. So, you know, the lineup that I see them running is, you know, I wouldn't say necessarily continuing with small ball. You know, you got to be a little bit more aggressive on that side. Now that Conley is gone, you know, that takes a little bit of the pressure off because you are playing with a subpar. I want to say subpar. That's a terrible term. But you're playing with someone that's, you know, partially playing with an injury and trying to be as efficient as they can. So you got at least one of their juggernauts out the way, but you still got an amazing Donovan Mitchell who's been unstoppable even with his injury. So I would say the best thing you can do is tune in on Donovan and let the rest of the team beat you. Now that, you know, Conley's out of there, the one that facilitates and gets everyone, you know, into their spots, it's better to kind of stop the one that's going to be putting up majority of the points. But, you know, I would lock down Donovan and put the key target on Donovan and then just let the rest of the team beat you. If you do something like that, you can see a better chance of the Clippers winning out a game. But like I said before, it's still going to be a fight in the fourth quarter for the Clippers to have a chance because of their lack of offensive power that they've been presenting themselves with.
Yeah,
To
I hear
add to that,
I hear exactly what you're saying on that, but the problem is when you say lockdown Donovan Mitchell, I'm just trying to figure out what does that look like? Because
Lockdown Donovan Mitchell means keep Donovan Mitchell under 25. 25 is kind of like where you got to keep Donovan Mitchell at. Same thing with like Kevin Durant for like the Bucks. The night that Kevin Durant went 9 for 20 is like one of those things where but like you've got to lock down someone. It's like someone's going to score 20 points, someone's going to score 25, but you cannot allow Donovan Mitchell to continually score 30 and above every single night at will. Same thing when I watch the Sixers and, Trae Young versus Trae Young. You cannot consistently let Trae Young get into his spots and continually knock down 25-plus point games if you plan on winning the series. Because now a team that's not supposed to win is now in a fight to actually possibly to overturn this series if they continue to keep that up. So, I believe that you keep Donovan under 25 and you let the rest of the team beat you. I think that's what I mean by lockdown. It's not that you're going to stop Donovan Mitchell from getting over, 15 points because he's going to do that just by playing basketball. So,
and it's very interesting that you bring up the Trae Young point because Atlanta is actually staging a comeback against Philadelphia right now with a little more than 2 minutes left in the game. We're going to touch on that Game 5 recap a little later on, but let's go ahead and move on to the second topic at hand here. And once again, you talk about the sky falling and things just going awry. The news that came out this morning about Chris Paul now being in the NBA's health and safety protocols. And it's just so unfortunate because Phoenix is such a feel-good story in the playoffs for the first time in 11 years. Last time Phoenix was in the playoffs prior to this season, Steve Nash and Amari Stoudemire were the two stars. And a lot of kids watching this right now, they probably never saw Steve Nash dribble a basketball. And they never saw when Amari Stoudemire was the literal Skywalker of the league. You mean we can talk about Blake Griffin highlights all we want to. Amari Stoudemire was something. But such a feel-good story there. Chris Paul, age 36, and having that great game he had to help sweep the Nuggets in Game 4 on Sunday night, and Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton and Mikal Bridges all growing up before our eyes. The feel-good story that is Monty Williams. And then that news comes out this morning, and it's just like, wow, what a blow this is. But here's the good news about it. It's not been confirmed that Chris Paul has tested positive for COVID-19. And there are also reports out there that he has been fully vaccinated, which means that his status for the Western Conference Finals is up in the air. But as long as he does not test positive and as long as he is indeed fully vaccinated, we can expect a return. But when does the return happen? Because if it happens in the middle of a series and Phoenix is already in disarray, which I think Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton can help get at least one of those first two wins if that's the case. But man, it's really gonna take everything they have. I'm not depending on Cameron Payne to do what he did against the Lakers. Chris Paul was still banged up with that shoulder injury. The deeper you go into the playoffs, the higher the pressure gets. Some guys are just built for that, some are not. Cameron Payne hasn't exactly proven that he's built for that particular stage just yet. But Matt, we'll go ahead and we'll start with you. Your reaction to Chris Paul news.
I just wonder what happened in his past life, because this life he got a lot of bad luck. I wonder if he had some. I wonder if he was like a bad guy. Was he like a villain? Was he like a dictator? Like what was he doing in his past life? Because this life he tend to can't get any luck. Every year Chris Paul is dealing with something, and every year is something that happens. Like you can go back as far as when he blew a 3-1 lead against the Houston Rockets, and James Harden was on the bench. Josh Smith led that comeback. So you can go back as far as that. You can go back to their owner being a racist that year. That kind of messed the season up. You can go back to so many times when he was still Houston pulled his hamstring. Like it's every year is something, and I just hate it. Honestly, I hate it for Chris Paul because it's like he just always got bad luck when it comes to the playoffs at the most time that he needs to be healthy the best. he gets injured or something happens, and this is one of the worst things that could happen because we're in a pandemic. And I seen the report come out today that said only one out of so many players tested positive, and that one player was Chris Paul. So it's like it just sucks that happened because I'm a fan of Chris Paul. I've always been a fan of Chris Paul. He's one of my favorite point guards all time, and I just hope he can come back before the season is over, before the playoff series is over. Because the best thing I was looking at, the best thing you can hope for is that the series goes 7 with the Clippers and the Jazz, and that's doubtful because they just lost Kawhi. You want that to go 7, and you want to hope that your team can hold forward for at least 1 or 2 games. Hopefully they don't go in that series and lose both games. But if they do, that's fine. Go back home and win 1. But this is the time for Devin Booker. Everybody seeing Devin Booker praise. What's up? Talking about
yes, sir.
He Mamba. He got Mamba mentality. What's up?
Yes, sir.
It's his time. We talk about Trey. We see what Trey doing. He doing his thing. He balling right now. He up on the number 1 seed in the East right now. So Devin Booker, it's on you now. The stage is yours. What you gonna do? Is you gonna step up? Is you gonna lead your team to at least 1 victory if Chris Paul is out for 3 games? Can you lead them to 2 victories? Can you hold Serge at home? Like, what you gonna do? If you are who they say you are, what Stephen A. say? You at least gotta give me 1. You at least gotta give me 1. I ain't asking for multiple. You gotta go AI, Lakers versus 76ers, game 1 in LA. You at least gotta give me 1. I don't care if you shot 50 shots to get 70 points. You gotta give me 1, Devin. So this is his time. But it sucks for Chris Paul.
Yo, Dolph, go ahead and give us your thoughts. I know how big of a CP3 fan you are.
Yeah, see the news this morning. Like I was scrolling on Instagram, and it was like Kawhi's out and Chris Paul's out. I'm like, yo, hold on, what happened to Chris Paul? So go to ESPN, see, he's in the COVID protocol. May have the virus, may not. We don't know. But it sucks for him because, like Matt said, it's like every time he starts to prosper, something just says, no, it's not happening. So, I mean, it sucks for him that another deep playoff run can possibly be ruined. And he's playing at one of his best levels that, that we've seen him play at. A great game to close out the series against Denver. But like what Matt said, I mean, we're going to have to see Devin Booker step up like we seen game 6 in LA. He's going to have to come out with that mentality every night against whoever he's playing. And we're going to have to see some of that same fire from the rest of the team because you could see that they took that series very emotional. And even this series, they came out and played hard every single night, 4-0 sweep against Denver. So they're capable, the rest of those guys, including Booker. So, I want to see them fight. No matter who they play. If the Clippers somehow find a way to win that series or if they play the Jazz, I want to see them fight. And hopefully Chris Paul gets a chance to come back.
Go ahead, Eli. But before you do, I want to inform everyone the Atlanta Hawks have absolutely came back in this game. It's a little more than 40 seconds left, but they have a 3-point lead on the Sixers after being down 26 points.
Oh, God.
We're going to touch more on that a little bit later, but Eli, go ahead and give us your thoughts on CP3.
Yeah, great update there too as well. So CP3, one of those things is that he's been playing great. He's the missing piece that, Phoenix has needed for the last couple of years. I've always said that Devin Booker needed a point guard in order to go to the playoffs and even be successful in the playoffs. He needed a point guard on the team. Phoenix has always been missing that piece for the last couple of years. Just a true point guard that can lead this team to the playoffs and show them what it's like to actually kind of form more of a team and less of just a young group of kids within Ayton and Booker. So I think that this is a huge shot taken to the team because they've depended a lot on CP3 for that leadership and guidance. And that's a big part of this team in general. So now it's like, is it time for Booker to take over that leadership? And, it's not just about hooping, okay? We all know Booker can hoop, but it's not just about hooping at this point in the playoffs. You know, you can't just be a hooper in the playoffs. One player can't change the game, but how can he impact the game outside of just his offensive ability and just bringing the troops together and getting it done? You know, so I believe that that's a huge piece that's going to be missed. And depending on how long CP3 is out, it's really going to put a lot of pressure on Booker. And I'm a huge Booker advocate. You know, I'll ride with him to the end of the day because I know how talented he is. You know, on both ends, I know how talented he could be as well. His potential, the sky really is the limit for Devin Booker. But however, you know, leadership is one thing that will be tested. And, you know, missing a huge leader of this team is definitely going to be an impactful thing, whether, you know, he's out for a game or 2 games. As Matt said, you know, it's a huge spotlight for Booker. I was talking earlier, and it's crazy. I was like, it's a huge moment for a lot of players with a lot of these injuries. You know, PG, he has to show up. Devin Booker, he's got to show up. You know, a lot of players, you know, top players that, you know, I see in my eyes, you know, they got to show up and prove themselves, you know, that they belong to be on these stages. So, you know, I said it earlier, you know, and Matt got on me about it. I was like, you know, Devin Booker deserved to be in the playoffs. You know, he said, you know, you don't deserve to be in the playoffs. You got to work for being in the playoffs, you know. So, you know, right now it's kind of one of those things where it's like, all right, hopefully Devin Booker can back up my claim that he deserved to be here. So I definitely believe that CP3 news definitely hit a lot, you know, to Phoenix fans in general because they know how impactful he is to this team.
Go ahead, Matt. I know you have something else you might want to add to that.
I mean, not much though. I just like I said, the main thing for me is sucks with Chris Paul. Hopefully he heals. Hopefully he doesn't have COVID. If he does have COVID, hopefully it's not too severe. He doesn't affect anyone around him or whoever that affected him. They can heal from it. So that's the main thing. But outside of that, it's the Devin Booker show. If he is who y'all say he is, that's all I'm gonna say. If he is who he say he is, we go definitely see.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because the closing image of Game 4 was Chris Paul leaving his press conference that he had while standing away from Chris Haynes and going up into the stands and hugging his parents. So that's something to really think about with this news coming out.
True. That's very true.
Dolph, do you have any other closing thoughts that you want to add to this?
I've got nothing here.
All right. Well, you know, wishing CP3 and Kawhi Leonard all the best. Really hoping that news doesn't come back in any negative way whatsoever. The only thing I take out of the Kawhi Leonard news that gives me optimism that it might not be as terrible, it was not a non-contact injury. That's the only thing I take out of that. And I hope that the MRI does come back clean and it's indeed just a slight knee sprain and not an ACL injury that they're fearing. But there was more news that came out of the league today. Heads rolled in Washington, D.C. and New Orleans. First, we will start with one Stan Van Gundy. Out after just one season as head coach of the New Orleans Pelicans. I'm not exactly surprised to hear that. This team went 31-41 this season with 2 all-star caliber players. Zion made his first all-star game. He was healthy most of the season. And Brandon Ingram, he narrowly missed out on an all-star spot there. Many think he should have got it. Many say that Mike Conley Jr. deserved it or anybody else. That's a conversation for another day. But this just wasn't a good experiment because you can't have this much talent on a team and not even come close to making the play-in tournament. Forget missing the playoffs. They didn't even make the tournament. So I'm looking forward to seeing who New Orleans is going to hire as their next head coach. I hope that they take their time and they get this right because what this goes to show us is that just because someone has a quote-unquote proven resume, which some people feel Stan Van Gundy does, I necessarily do not because he has not had any serious success with a team since Orlando. And that dates back to 2009 and 2010. That was 11 years ago. What have you done for me lately? And in the realm of Stan Van Gundy being hired as the head coach last year, that caught me completely off guard. I thought they would have hired someone like a Sam Cassell or someone like that. They didn't go that route. They have a chance to right that wrong now and go hire one of those younger guys, one of those former players, or one of those true proven head coaches. But they got to get this situation right in New Orleans. You can't have two all-star caliber players and a good developing point guard like Lonzo Ball and good pieces coming off the bench, role players like Jackson Hayes and Josh Hart, and you don't even make the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if it was always off, with them as far as Stan Van Gundy in New Orleans, you was just hearing stuff come out of there that he wasn't getting along. Then once he finally got fired, you see multiple reports saying that him and B.I. didn't get along. But like throughout the season, you was hearing like little slick stuff like Stan losing the team or Stan's not getting along with the players or stuff like that. So it was like it finally came out that he was getting fired, and once it came out that him and B.I. didn't have the best relationship. Zion, he's still early in his career, so he seemed like a more easier player to get along with. He kind of seemed like a player that go with the flow. Maybe deep in his career, he may get more demanding and more of what he wants because he's only 2 years in and he's still young. I don't think Zion's not even 21. I don't think. If that, he's probably only 21. He's 20. So yeah, so he's not even 21. He can't even buy a liquor yet. Come on, man, he's a baby. So he probably don't have that dominating personality yet, but B.I. is a little bit more mature. He been around Kobe. He played with LeBron. So he probably been around players, and he probably seen like what a player expects from a head coach that Zion hasn't gotten yet. So that's probably why him and Stan have the best relationship. So I wasn't surprised. I'm gonna say this. I was surprised that they let him go already. I thought he was at least gonna stay one more season, but I was surprised that they let him go after one season. I thought they were gonna give him one more year, but I guess they were just like, man, cut it short. Why give him one more year? Cut it short. Get him out of here. So that's what they did. And I think they should bring in a more young coach. If they all go bring in a proven coach, I like Mark Jackson. I know his name always gets thrown out there. Sam Cassell, like X just said, his name's been coming up a lot. Like coaches like that, they should have never let. He had a lot going on, but I liked Monty when he was there. So, but I know Monty had a lot of personal stuff going on in his personal life, so he probably would have ended up leaving anyway. But Monty's doing an amazing job with Phoenix now. But Gentry, like coaches like that, so it's just the organization just not the best. And Stan Van Gundy, like X said, he don't have the best track record since he left Orlando. The Detroit Pistons still haven't recovered from what he did to them. Like, I don't know what the hell is going on in Detroit, and they still haven't recovered from what Stan did for them by playing all them players' money, trading draft picks, drafting certain players. It's like, dog, like it's like he sabotaging from within. I think it was an inside job. I will call that an inside job.
Well, here's the thing I'll say about it. They gave him too much power and responsibility. If you want him to just coach, let him just coach. They hired him as the president of basketball operations as well. And he had no experience in that department whatsoever. Sometimes you just cannot take a chance in doing things like that. Listen, we saw the Clippers do this for years with Doc Rivers too. The difference is they were going to the playoffs every year, but they weren't exactly meeting expectations either. With those Lob City Clippers with prime Chris Paul and healthy Blake Griffin and high-flying DeAndre Jordan and six-man Jamal Crawford, we expected them to get to at least one NBA Finals, if not win a championship. And that didn't happen. So this is more evidence that when these owners and these managers are hiring some of these coaches into those multiple positions, you have key examples that you can think about on why you may or why you should or why you shouldn't make that move. And I'll just leave it at that. Eli, I want you to go next, but before you do, let me break the news to everybody. The Atlanta Hawks have successfully completed the comeback. They were down by 26 points at one point, but they have come back to defeat the Philadelphia 76ers, 109-106, being led by John Collins and Trae Young. They are headed back to the A with a 3-2 series lead. I don't know what Atlanta sports.
Put a fork in them. Put a fork in them. It's cold outside. I know it's hot where you at, but I know you feeling a little chilly right now. It's Ice Trae.
No,
the most exciting player in the NBA.
No, listen to me. I'm not there yet because the series isn't over yet. This is still an Atlanta team, and I know what Atlanta teams do when it counts the most. I will not get my hopes up in any way whatsoever as a home state native right now.
Regardless of all that, it don't matter if they win or lose. Regardless of all that, it's the fact that they got to where they are now, and they shouldn't have been where they are now, playing the number one team in the Eastern Conference.
You see, any other city
in opposed of these.
Go
ahead, what'd you say?
Any other city, I would give you that. But Atlanta, no, because they got y'all.
I'm saying though, even if they come back, I mean, if they blow the 3-2 lead and lose, I'm still satisfied. They made it to
They got y'all exactly where they want y'all. Every time they get y'all hopes
I'm telling you,
and then they lose.
It don't matter. It don't matter, bro. That's what I'm saying. It don't,
Maybe to you.
Even if they lose, it don't matter.
Maybe to you.
We have like I said last series, 2 series ago, before the playoffs started, we have a new face of the NBA. And if you want to talk about the NBA, you have to go to Atlanta. Go to Atlanta. I'm not from Atlanta. I only been to Atlanta one time. But go to Atlanta, find Trae Young, go to his residency, knock on his door. And anytime Adam Silver have any question about the NBA, go talk to Trae. Because this is his world now. We just living in it. Ice Trae, man. Just came back on Drill and B. Ben Simmons. He's outmanned and outpowered, and somehow he's carrying that team. I ain't gonna say he's carrying it because he got some dogs with him. Because Lou Will put on the show in the third quarter. He really got them back in the game. Lou Will put up 13 points in the third quarter, and that got them back in the game. So I give Lou that. And Lou, Lemon Pepper Lou.
And that's somebody else that the Clippers absolutely gave up on. With that being said, they went and got playoff Rondo, who has not performed like that. Congratulations to the Atlanta Hawks on this victory. We'll get back to them in a few minutes. But I want to get back to the topic at hand here. Eli, Stan Van Gundy out in New Orleans. I imagine you're not surprised by this.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say not too surprised, but same time, I put a lot of stuff on the team in general. I think that Lonzo Ball needs to play a lot better. Being the player that he's supposed to be. He's been in the league for a while, just like Devin Booker. He's been here a while. This season, when we look on off the stats, I mean, he had 14.8 points a game. He had 5.7 assists, 4 rebounds. You know, what is he doing to kind of like benefit Zion Williamson and Brandon Ingram? You got 2 juggernauts on your team, and you're below average. You know, he's getting better. I mean, you look at his track record, it's like, okay, year by year, statistically, he's getting better in his shooting percentage, 3-point percentage, free throw percentage. He shot, I think a career high of 78% at the free throw line this year. I don't think it's just – I don't think it was too much on the coaching side. I think with Matt as well, they should have given him another year. I don't think it's truly just the coach issue here. I think this is almost how Phoenix was when it was like need a point guard. As of right now, the point guard you have still has a few more years left to kind of grow. I mean, just the beginning of the year, he was on the trade block talk rumors about getting off the team until he had like that stint of like 3 or 4 games. And, it was almost how like Matt Ryan every single year is like, all right, it does just enough to keep his roster spot when it's time. I truly think that Lonzo Ball needs to step up on his team. If not, they're going to keep trying to blame a coach issue when we know the real issue is that you don't have someone that can successfully rotate this offense the way it needs to be on the offensive end. I mean, Lonzo Ball is just not the fit that they need at this moment, in personal opinion, based off of what he's shown and the stats that he has compared to the other players that's on his team that are actually performing. Lonzo Ball does not meet up to that expectation of his other teammates. You've got teammates on there that's younger than you that are outplaying you easily. So that's my thing, my situation on that. I think that, sometimes coaches are a little too much to blame. It's an easy target where sometimes it really might be the players on the floor. And I think that Lonzo Ball is kind of one of those players on the floor.
I can understand why you say that as well. The players, they didn't necessarily play the best that they could have as well. But I'm looking at Stan Van Gundy in the instance of he has a history of not having a good relationship with players. And eventually that's going to come back and get you. And for the sake of Stan Van Gundy, I don't wish this on anybody, but I believe that he has had his final head coaching job in the NBA at this point. I mean, you have to believe that as of now because he's had no serious success. We joke about Mike D'Antoni a lot. somehow, some way, Mike D'Antoni, even though he comes up short in the playoffs every single year, he does at least get teams to the second round or at least the conference finals of his respective conference. Now, albeit when you have Hall of Fame players like Steve Nash and Amari Stoudemire and James Harden and Chris Paul, you can make those things happen.
Stop it. Don't disrespect Mike D'Antoni now. Stop it.
Well, I'm just.
I feel like
Well,
y'all don't
because I
put
understand.
enough respect on his
I
name.
also understand that he will probably be a head coach in the league next season. He wouldn't necessarily be my pick, but I understand that he would be. But
he does less with he does more with less than almost any coach in the NBA outside of Greg Popovich and Brad Stevens. Mike D'Antoni does. Give all he needs is one good elite, not even elite, just a good ball handler, and he can do pretty good with that. So Mike D'Antoni is an underrated coach in my opinion.
Well, there is this thing in.
I seen Kenny Atkinson bring the darn Brooklyn Nets to the playoffs.
Who?
I said I seen Kenny Atkinson bring the Brooklyn Nets to the playoffs.
That's good. They lost in the first round.
That's what I'm saying. I've seen him bring the playoffs multiple times.
And
what that mean though? They lost in the first round. I don't understand what that means.
Let me also add this. There is this thing in this league that needs to be played called defense, and that's something that Mike D'Antoni teams just don't do.
Which is why I don't want to see him in Portland.
Y'all sleep.
I don't want to see him in Portland, man.
If he went to Portland, Damian Lillard would be an MVP, and they will make it to the conference finals. That's what you can guarantee with Mike D'Antoni.
Not playing a lick of defense.
It don't matter.
That is literally why they couldn't beat Denver. That's literally why they couldn't beat them.
Bro, that's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter.
It does.
Bro, okay, listen. They can't play defense, and they doing what they doing with Terry Stotts. What they got them? First round exit. They get Mike D'Antoni, don't play no defense. Offense goes here, they make it to the conference finals.
The philosophy isn't changing.
MVP. Huh?
They gonna have to play defense at some point to win anything.
I'm saying though, he can still take you further than what you going with what you got. That's what I'm saying. Though.
I respect that. He's saying that, what you got, he can take you a lot further than your current organization. He's done that multiple times. I understand.
He's done it multiple times.
He's done that multiple times. I think we're just on the stance of just like being able to finish. Are we trying to just keep doing the same thing, or are we trying to get a championship at some point?
Yeah, I mean, he's not gonna finish. I wouldn't want him to be my championship head coach at all. He's not gonna finish. But if you got a team that's not much and you just need them to go as far as they can, he can do that for you. That's all I'm saying.
I will give you this. With all the talent that they have in Portland, I will believe that Mike D'Antoni would be able to come in and do more with that than Terry Stotts did. Absolutely no reason that the Blazers only finished as high as 6 in the West this year. No reason for that. But there was another head coaching decision that was made today. And Scott Brooks is out in Washington, D.C. The reports say that Scott Brooks and the Washington Wizards organization could not come to terms on a new deal. Therefore, they mutually agreed to part ways. So
that's weird.
I'm not sure if that's his last head coaching stop in the league or not, and I'm not sure if it should be. Honestly, I'm really not. But
he should go to college.
Yes, I believe he would honestly be a good college coach. I do agree with that. But
he should definitely go to college. He's like a hipster.
Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook, they're going to have a new head coach next year. Or will Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook even be in the Washington Wizards organization next year?
I'm not sure, honestly. Who's their GM now? I know Ernie Gernford is gone, right?
Yes, he is.
I'm not sure who their GM is right now, but that's a decision they have to make about bringing Brad back, about starting over. Like I know people didn't like Philly doing. I'm not saying y'all, but I'm saying I know reports like some target heads they didn't really like the trust the process thing that Philly went through. But I'm actually a fan of that. Like if you tired of sucking, just tank and get the best players in the draft every year until you hit gold. I'm a fan. Instead of doing what the Charlotte Hornets do and steady trying to get to the playoffs, get there, don't make the playoffs, miss about 6 or 5 games, get like 11, 12 pick, and kind of do the same thing on repeating. They finally sure go with LaMelo, so that's good. But I'm a fan of tanking, so they should go full tank mode. Trade Bill. See if anybody want Russ, because somebody might not even want Russ with his contract. But if you can get somebody to take on Russ' contract without giving up picks, that's the only thing. Like you want to keep all the picks you can get. and not give up any. So if you can get somebody to take Russ without giving up any picks, get Bradley out of there and get a couple of picks for him, and I'd do that. I mean, I know Brad don't want to go, but hey, I mean, what more can you do at this point?
Well, are we even 100% sure that he doesn't want to go? Because in his last press conference of the season, that was kind of telling. Also, just like Dame's last moments of the season, that was kind of telling. Now, here's what I will say right now, as opposed to what you said about the tanking. I understand teams that will do that, even though it will force you to have to sit through at least 2 years of misery, like watching people like Randolph's homeboy Henry Sims when he was in Philly.
Oh man!
But here's the problem with that: you don't know if that's going to pan out the way that you want it to. A lot of people think, okay, we can go the OKC model when they got Kevin Durant and Jeff Green. See, a lot of people forget about Jeff Green was originally a part of that big future that they had at OKC. Jeff Green, Russell Westbrook, James Harden, Serge Ibaka, Reggie Jackson. Things don't always work out like that. We've been watching the Detroit Pistons and Sacramento Kings rebuild for years, and it just hasn't panned out. You know what? I'm not even going to disrespect the Pistons like that because they did at least make the playoffs a few years ago.
They don't go full tank mode, though. I don't feel like they go full tank mode.
Those Sacramento Kings who have missed the playoffs for 15 consecutive years now.
They don't go full tank mode. That's my point. They don't go full tank mode. That's my point, though. They steady try to compete and win and come up short. Go full tank mode. I'm talking about throw games tank mode. That's what I'm talking about.
Matt, I don't know if I can agree with that because there were definitely some years that Sacramento was in full tank mode. They just had people in the organization who didn't know what the hell they were doing.
And even with that, even if they go full tank mode, there's no telling what pick they're gonna get. They might not even get the number one overall. Look at the Knicks. The Knicks were in tank mode for a couple of years. Couldn't get the number one overall pick.
You gotta do it multiple years. That's what I'm saying. You gotta commit 5 years to it. You gotta commit 5 years to it. 5 years, you can at least get 2. If you can commit 5 years, you can at least get 2. That's the only thing.
If you're lucky, yes, you can. If you're lucky, yes, you can. I don't know if we'll ever see a team luck up like the Orlando Magic did in 92 and 93 where they got Shaq, and then they ended up with a number 1 pick, drafting Chris Webber, trading his rights to Golden State to get Penny again. I don't know if we'll ever see something like that again.
I mean, OKC, you just said it. They had that. They had a bet. They had it just as good.
Well, okay.
It's not better.
Okay, well, yeah, that's
you can say
that.
You can say Cleveland as well. Those number 1 picks and ended up bringing back LeBron.
No, I cannot. No, I cannot. I cannot put that organization.
Well, then again, they didn't go full tank. They didn't go full tank. So
well, I believe they
got lucky. Cleveland did. They got lucky as hell.
They did tank the first 2 years. They did.
Yeah, they did. But when Kyrie was going for it, he was going for it. They got lucky with Wiggins.
Yeah,
they got lucky with Wiggins.
Yes, they did. And the reason I can't put them in this conversation is because they drafted the man that I believe is the biggest bust in NBA history, Anthony Bennett. And listen.
No, I'm with you.
Because there was no indication whatsoever heading into that day that Anthony Bennett was going to be drafted with the number 1 overall pick. There weren't even indications that he was going to go top 5 in that draft. I don't believe any other team in the top 5 would have drafted him in there. Now, of course, this is the NBA. It's not like the NFL where you can get players in multiple rounds. In the NBA draft, let's just face it, your good players or your good prospects are usually off the board by the time you get to pick 8 or 9. And you might get lucky later in the round and in the second round and in this undrafted circle. And you might get a few diamonds in the rough or maybe even an all-star or a star or a superstar in the case of Nikola Jokic, who just won MVP, the first ever second-round pick in NBA history to do so. You may end up with that scenario. But let's talk reality here for a second. You're usually looking at between picks 8 and 9, and that's where it usually stops right there. So, we'll just have to see how all of this is going to play out. Eli, I saw you clapping your hands as I was making this announcement that Scott Brooks was no longer in Washington, D.C. So clearly you were not a fan of him as the head coach of the team, and you feel that the team has made a smart decision.
Absolutely. I started watching the Wizards kind of, I want to say like mid 2000s, just watching them play. I enjoyed the Wall series until his injuries came in. And, but I think when it came to this decision was like, all right, you had Westbrook, who averaged a triple-double. You had Bradley Beal, who had like one of his best seasons ever. I think he had like 31 points this year average. And Westbrook had like 21. And then, of course, the rest of his triple-doubles, 11-11, I believe. And, you really couldn't do much. Hachimura, he played well this year as well. It wasn't like, spectacular out of the walls, but he played his role this year. I think you had a team that could have really went further than they did. And I feel like they didn't even go .500 this year. They didn't even go over 500. They had more losses than they had wins this year with the team that they had. I think there was a reason. The moment I realized that this was over with was when they officially got rid of, John Wall, and they were like, all right, let's bring in Russ. And I was like, okay, so we're not trying to tank at all. Like, we're not trying to, like, long-term longevity of this program. We're trying to just continually stay relevant in this space right now to kind of go for another run for a championship. The whole mindset of that entire organization at this moment has been, let's just keep trying to run for a championship rather than let's actually just build this team. Bradley Beal deserves a whole lot more out of this organization. And it's not just, just bring him Russ. No, he deserves a whole lot more. He needs this organization to kind of work with him to be a long-term team. Because, if I'm Bradley Beal, as much as he loves the city, I'd be looking for a way out as well. Forget the head coach. I'm looking for a way out with the head coach. I'm going too. Because he has poured his heart and soul into this game of basketball, especially this year in general, just for them to still fall short. Every year he consistently poops. I mean, I think he's getting better statistically every single year. I think 2 years ago he had 29. This year he averaged 30. I mean, last year he averaged 30. This year he averaged 31. Consistently, statistically wise, he's getting better and better every year, but nothing to show for it. And, I think the coach leaving, I was ecstatic. I was like, all right, time to let him go. Get somebody new in here who's going to run better schemes to kind of put them in a better position to at least go down into, like, the Eastern, Conference Finals would be a win for me, a win for Bradley Beal, a win for this organization, that city. So I was ecstatic to see that person going. When I said New Orleans, I was like, look, man, I guess it's a Lonzo Ball issue. But when it came down to the Wizards, it's really a coach issue. It's not a player issue.
I'm just gonna ask this question to all three of you. And I know that this might sound a little ridiculous, but just hear me out what I'm saying. Is it possible that maybe they should consider bringing Randy Whitman back as head coach? And I say that because that team went further with Randy Whitman than they ever went with Scott Brooks. I know he's not one of the popular names out there, but who took you further? Whose philosophy did the players seem to buy into a little bit better? It appears that Randy Whitman was the guy for that. So maybe he's somebody that you consider bringing, unless you want to bring in some fresh new blood. Now, Eli, I do agree with you that it was time for Scott Brooks to go. Here's my only thing, though. I don't know what this front office is going to do this offseason to improve this team around Bradley Beal. They have some good young pieces, but this is still an organization that appears to be in some form of flux or disarray to a degree. And that is why I believe Bradley Beal should be looking for the first thing smoking out of town.
Yeah. To Eli's point on the organization, and even Matt's as well, as to why I don't think they'll go full tank, is look at the standings. Like, after the 6th seed, if I'm not mistaken, everyone is under 500. So I don't think they go full tank because they believe they have an opportunity to be a higher seed in the Eastern Conference because it was weak this year. So you have Russell Westbrook, you have Bradley Beal. Scott Brooks clearly couldn't get the job done. Eli talked about the talent that they had on that team. And I think it's good that he's gone. They can get somebody new in there. But, like X said, the front office right now is just kind of, we don't really know what direction they're trying to go in.
Yeah, those are all still some very good points made by all three of you there. Matt, do you have any other remarks that you want to add to this?
Full tank mode. Trade Bill, trade Westbrook. Get it out of there. Start it over. Start from scratch. Build from the ground up. Get you a new up-and-coming head coach. Get you somebody from college. Get you a young whippersnapper who hasn't been in the league yet, and let him mess up his NBA record for about 3 years. Then go and get you an established coach once you got some superstars. That seems like a blueprint nowadays. That's what they should do. And if they need some advisement, some counseling, I'm always available. I'm in the South. I can come up north. I've never been to D.C., but I can come to D.C. So if y'all need some counseling, just get at me. Matt Craig all day on social media. Just slide in my DM. We can make something work with this organization. We can make something work.
Well, you heard it there, Wizards organization. Matt Craig is offering you his services on advisement on how you should run your organization. I'll also ask this question, everyone, too, before we move on to our fifth topic here at hand. Rui is a very interesting young piece for this team. I feel like he could be a big part of the future. But if you're talking about going full tank mode, should you also consider trading him as well?
Who?
Heck no. No. Freak no. I'm sorry. Whoever has something to say on that, you're wrong. Go ahead.
Who was it?
No. Nobody had anything to say on it. I'm just asking, like, if they go full tank mode, should they do it? Rui.
Oh, the one he in his second year.
Yes.
The Japanese player, the Japanese-born player.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, they should keep him. Now, if he get in there thinking he deserves max because he playing good on a sorry team, and that's where I differ. I'm with players getting their money, but if I'm a GM, I'm not paying nobody no max money on that's playing good on a sorry team. But he has potential. Me and Devon actually talked about him before, and Devon really not a big fan of him, but I like him. I like him a lot. He has potential, but he's like he's just as good as a 3-and-D guy. He's not nobody that can be is he even a starter on the championship team? Probably
That's
not.
what you need, though. That's what they need. So that's why they should keep a 3-and-D is what they need. So
they do need him, but I'm saying he's not untouchable. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, of course not. Of course not.
Well, we'll see what direction the Wizards organization goes in here. I'll just keep my eyes and ears open because I don't want to set any expectations for a front office that I have no idea what they're going to do yet. But over the years, Ernie Grunfeld, he just gave me nothing to be hopeful about. So maybe this guy is different. With that being said, let's move on into our fifth topic at hand. And Matt, you said it yourself. You said that they must have a big surprise in play for Rookie of the Year because that is usually the first of the major individual NBA awards that is given out. And lo and behold, that surprise came today. LaMelo Ball was named the 2020-2021 Rookie of the Year. And I say it as a surprise, not because of his statistics or what he brought to his team. I say it because of the fact that he missed 21 games with a broken wrist injury. And throughout that entire time he was out, Anthony Edwards was stepping up and becoming the future face of the Minnesota Timberwolves franchise, and they even started playing better. So congratulations to LaMelo Ball, but there are a lot of people out there that feel like Anthony Edwards, Ant-Man, as he's also known as, was robbed of this award. Does anyone else share those sentiments?
I don't think he was robbed of this award. I don't think he was robbed. But I'll have my moment because I feel like you got more people that agree that he was robbed, so I'll let them speak first.
No, sir, he was not robbed. We talking about LaMelo Ball. We talking about a future face in the NBA. I know I say that a lot, but I'm being honest right now. I'm talking about future as in about 5 to 7 years. We talking about a guy that will change the life of the New Orleans Hornets, the Charlotte Hornets. They finally found that diamond in the rough. Michael Jordan, you finally got one right, big dog. You've been the worst GM / owner in NBA history. You finally got one right. Hopefully, you can change your career as an ownership, and LeBron doesn't retire and catch you and beat you in ownership as well as he has on the basketball court. So you done that right. So I'm happy for you. So LaMelo Ball got it, and good luck next year, my boy. I don't know what X talking about as far as being the face of the Minnesota Timberwolves, they do got a dude named Karl Anthony Towns who's a dog. Like come on, man. Like, don't be disrespectful with the Karl Anthony Towns.
No, I'm not disrespecting Cat when I say that. I said future face of the franchise because honestly, I believe Cat's going to be playing elsewhere in 2 years because I don't believe that this team is going to be a playoff team within 2 years. And he'll be moving a lot towards year 10 in the league. And that's when it's time to start thinking about, your future. Like, want to go win some championships? Want to go compete for some championships? I mean, it's not his fault he plays for this moribund organization. But
he could be moved.
I will say this about Anthony Edwards. He was everything that they thought Andrew Wiggins was going to be for that organization. Can we at least agree on that?
I don't know why you throwing strays on my boy Wiggins, but we can agree on that. I think Wiggins ain't gonna do this. Leave him out of it. That's my Kansas Jayhawk. I like Wiggins.
Dolph, go ahead and take it next because I'm pretty sure Eli has a lot to say.
So if I'm Anthony Edwards, damn right I got robbed, but I'm not. So for me, it's kind of like, LaMelo in the games he played, definitely played like the rookie of the year. Anthony Edwards came on late in the season, kind of like how what Steph did. Steph came on in the month of April in the MVP race. But LaMelo, he definitely deserves it. Had he played the whole season, he was definitely going to get it. I mean, and he played, almost the whole season and still got it. But Anthony Edwards, I mean, just got to use that as motivation. Come back. You going to say you got robbed. Everyone's not going to say that, but you're going to say it. So, I mean, you just have to come back and, improve on his rookie season. But shout out to LaMelo because, like Matt said, he's definitely going to be a face. Jordan, got that right. I mean, it's one pick he could mess up. He got that right. So shout out to LaMelo.
Yeah, and before Eli goes, I want to address this as well. Tyrese Halliburton's name was also on this ballot, and there are people out there that feel that he was robbed. And to them, I simply just stop it. That's all I have to say to them. Stop it. He's a nice young player. He looks like he can be a future piece for the Sacramento Kings alongside De'Aaron Fox.
Talking about the Jason Tatum lookalike?
Yeah.
Stop.
Hey, if he would have went to New York, like Stephen A. said they should have did, he would have had a bigger case if he was in New York. New York give you a spotlight like nobody else.
It's the
so
king.
If he went to New York, he would have had that. He would have had a better shot, but not in Sacramento. Nah, not in Sacramento.
Man, if LaMelo was in New York, man, it would have been guaranteed.
Raw.
It wouldn't even no question.
Dog,
he can play 10 games.
New York? Dog. Hey, shut the whole NBA. I say Trae Young at the face of the NBA. Shut the whole NBA down if Melo was in New York. It's over with.
All right.
Imagine had they got Zion and LaMelo.
Let's go to Eli here. I already know where this conversation is going because I've heard Matt say multiple times LaMelo to the Knicks. So let's go to Eli here really quickly.
So yeah, I don't agree with anybody that says Anthony Edwards was snubbed out of this rookie of the year. I mean, the only case they have is the 21 games that he had due to injury. That's literally the only case they have. They can say, oh, well, he scored more points. I mean, look at the more points versus who had a better statistic line all across the board, offense and defense. LaMelo Ball was the better player all around. Outside of that, he also took a team to a play-in versus someone who had a losing record, and he played 55 games, something like that. About 51 games. So, and Anthony Edwards played 72 games and did nothing for his team to go to the playoffs or even a play-in game. So, that right there alone talks about the testament of LaMelo Ball and his ability. We've been watching LaMelo Ball since he was in high school. I think LaMelo Ball had no choice but to step up to the spotlight that he's always had. The pressure was always on LaMelo Ball more than it was Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards kind of didn't have too much of the spotlight on him in the beginning of the season when he was coming off the bench and stuff like that because he wasn't expected to be, someone that comes straight in and making an impact to an organization. LaMelo Ball was drafted literally to be a future of this team. So, even though he didn't come in starting all in third, he proved that he deserved to be there. And then it wasn't just all hype like everyone else thought LaMelo Ball was hype. I've got to see LaMelo Ball since he was in high school. He actually got to play against my little brother in the AAU circuit when he came down here in Atlanta. So that was the first time I got to see him actually play live. You know, the kid in general, the way he has a feel for the game, that position, that point guard, I mean, it's different. You guys got to literally see LaMelo Ball in person and not just on TV and actually see this kid play basketball. I personally got to see LaMelo Ball play, and his vision is out of this world. I mean, we see his highlights that he does on TV and all that. Like, you have to be a special team to be able to catch the ball and be ready for someone like LaMelo Ball, because he's always going to get you the ball. No matter whether you think you're getting it or not, he's always going to find you. He puts the ball in the most tightest of places. I think he's going to be a special point guard, especially with his size and his length. He gets better consistently with shooting. That man's sky is the limit for LaMelo Ball. He can go on any team to impact them offensively and get teammates open. It's not all about scoring for LaMelo, and that's what makes him different. You know, he's not one of those point guards that's trying to be new age point guards that just shoots threes all day long and try to score 30, 40 points. He's trying to get more on the assist side and play defense. I mean, defense as in rebounds. He can rebound. He has to work more on his defense because of his size, like stopping the ball, blocking shots, stuff like that. But he has a lot of upside potential versus someone like Anthony Edwards, who's NBA body style ready. I can't say that. That's the only argument, that Anthony Edwards is more ready on the size that he has. But the team that he's on currently, he's supposed to be balling the way he's balling. That's all I'm saying. You put LaMelo Ball on that same team, LaMelo Ball looks even better, and they actually make the playoffs with the team that they had.
Don't think so.
And here
We can go back and forth on that. That's fine.
and
LaMelo Ball plays the game a lot better than Anthony Edwards when it comes to efficiently playing that basketball role, getting teammates.
And I'll go ahead and I'll wrap this up just simply by saying, ever since Jamar, Eli's younger brother, did play against LaMelo Ball, he has been a staunch LaMelo Ball advocate. So congratulations to LaMelo Ball once again. And as far as Anthony Edwards goes, I look forward to watching those two young dogs compete against each other in this league for years to come, because I do like the way that Anthony Edwards approaches the game with that dog mentality that he has. Let's move on to the sixth topic at hand here for tonight. Historic, legendary performance last night by Kevin Durant, a man who I have been saying for a while now is the best basketball player in the world. And last night he proved that he could do a lot more than just score the basketball. You see, and many people say, oh, KD's the best offensive player or he's the best scorer. No, last night he proved that he's the best player in the world when it counts the most. Now, it didn't look like it was going to start out that way in the first half, but man, oh man, in the second half that he put on a show, in particular in that fourth quarter. And even had Giannis saying in his press conference, and I'll get to how I feel about Giannis saying that in just a few moments, that KD is the best player in the world right now. And right now, he is the best player in the world, as I have been saying. What a legendary performance that was in Brooklyn, New York last night. Eli, the floor is yours.
X, before you go, you didn't introduce Lawrence. He in the snap. I mean, he in the group.
I'm about to go in there.
I don't know if you knew Lawrence is up in here.
No, I didn't. Let's welcome our good brother Lawrence Vaughn to the show. Lawrence, as always, it's good to have you in here. We'll hear from Lawrence in just a few seconds. But Eli, the only true, real Nets fan that I know, the floor is yours.
All right, so I'm just going to start this off by saying, that man KD was on that darn Greek pack last night, letting it loose, boy. But I'm going to start off by saying that. I was really skeptical about this series. I knew that the series was going to – I believe the series was going 4-2. I called that in there. I didn't think we were going to lose the next game in Milwaukee, but, of course, Kyrie went down. So, it played its part the way it was supposed to. James Harden was activated just like I said he would. He'll get activated literally just to be a decoy, just to get those cobwebs knocked off, because he had not played basketball in the past 10 plus games. So he needed to get a feel back for basketball, because next series, if we advance, he's definitely going to have to play. And whether we're playing the I want to call it the Cinderella team, Atlanta, or whether we're playing, the 76ers, James Harden is definitely going to have to play. But Kevin Durant, I mean, he just came out. I was sitting here, I was telling, Sierra, I was like, I feel like this man had one of those Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant talks, like with his team in that backstage when it was at halftime. And he was like, look, we got to go out here and play basketball because this is not going to end well because we're going back to Milwaukee after this. And that man, Kevin Durant, I put in the chat, he was possessed. It was one of those, I want to call it Klay Thompson moments when Klay Thompson is just like possessed and he just don't miss. Kevin Durant literally showed me that he is not just a scorer from the three-point line, but he was driving through a double team last night. Driving through double teams, finishing on any side of the rim. He was doing whatever he wanted to do against that team. There was nobody on that floor that could stop him. Shout out to PJ Tucker for igniting that fire in him as well because he needed that. You know, after going from 9 from 20, PJ Tucker, he played 33 minutes just to talk trash. You know, he played his role well in the previous games, but that came to bite him back in the behind. Kevin Durant showed me that he is top 2 player in the league, and now he's not 2, for sure. And, you know, there's the burden thing that everyone's always talked about is can Kevin Durant finish, you know, without a super team? You know, he's always been surrounded by a super team. He's always been surrounded by better players and stuff like that. We don't win that game without Jeff Green. I love Kevin Durant, and I want to make sure this is known. I saw Jeff Green go 6 for 6 for 3 without missing, and I was sitting here and I was like, okay, because we had an invisible Joe Harris for the last 3 games. Without Jeff Green, that win doesn't happen. I think that needs to get pushed a lot of light on that as well because we don't win that game without him. We don't win that game without Blake Griffin actually scoring 17, doing what he's doing because he hasn't played at that level either. But Kevin Durant had 17 rebounds. I don't see Kevin Durant getting 17 rebounds at all. He played basically the 1 through 5, and he played every single minute of that basketball game. Yes, it's been done before. You know, LeBron James has done it as well. But this man, Kevin Durant, left it all out on the floor, and I said he can't do it twice. That's the problem. We need to make an adjustment, and James Harden needs to come in and play next game because I cannot see Kevin Durant continually do that at a high level. He was gassed, bent over at every timeout. He was dead. He left it all on the floor, and he showed me that he was the best player in basketball. So that's all I got to say about my Nets right now. I still think Nets in 6. Hopefully we can win out this next game. Giannis is the best defender, supposedly top 3 defender, but he won't guard him. So, you know, shout out to Giannis for, you know, playing the scared role.
And also a shout out to Giannis for continuing to fall in line with this good, nice guy role. KD's the best player in the world right now. You the 2-time MVP, bro. You won the previous 2 MVPs prior to this year. You are supposed to feel like you are the best player in the world right now. You are supposed to take what Kevin Durant did personal. And I don't see Giannis doing that right now. So I do believe the Nets are going to win this series in 6 games. Just simply because I don't know if the Bucks have the heart to get this done. But you spoke about the PJ Tucker point, Eli, and what I'll say last night reminded me of is it reminded me when Patrick Beverley ignited that fire in Kevin Durant 2 years ago in that first-round series with Golden State and the Clippers. That just doesn't get talked about a lot because he did have a healthy Klay Thompson and Steph Curry and Draymond Green out there with him. But Patrick Beverley ignited a fire in him that allowed him to go out and score 51 points, including 38 in the first half of a performance, giving us that legendary, I'm Kevin Durant, you know who I am, quote that he gave to the media prior to that performance. You look a little bored, so the floor is yours.
You said me? Sorry for the noise. City on fire right now. You know they doing big things out here. I had to swing up with Magic City, see what they talking about. Let me close the window. Y'all, they going crazy. I'm sorry.
Let's go ahead and let's go to Matt and then.
All right, we back at it. I'm sorry for that disturbance, y'all. Winning isn't really a big thing here. So, I will say this. I was told all throughout the year, this is a different Bug squad. This is a Bug squad right here that's going to make a run at it. For sure, I love to talk up. But when you have a 2-time MVP, how I want to describe him, not safe for work, not sure if it's safe for these airways. I felt like the Bucks quit. Simple and plain. Your best player can't have no heart. Your best player can't shoot 38% from the free throw line, 38% from 3. Like, But this is what happens when the media gives people their flowers too early, and we think, oh, snap. Matt's boy, James Harden, said it. Bro, it takes no skill to do what Giannis does. Like, he's not a basketball player. He literally goes north and south. And like, if you can't stop him, like I think Blake did in the previous game, where he got the tie up when Giannis is trying to drive directly at him, it's kind of like, bro, dumb or stupid. Like, dog, like, this isn't Greece. This isn't like them back alley streets no more. Like, this is actual organized basketball where you have to break somebody down, create, finish, hit shots. And so all props to Kevin. Like, Kevin went out there with a band of misfits and got it done as you're supposed to when you're in his pedigree. But from the Bucks, I mean, I don't know what more you can do. And it's sad because the head coach won't get the blame. Like, if they lose the series, man just lost the job. But I see very few holding Giannis to a high pedigree. I seen it last year. I seen it this year. I don't know. I think it's a thing that people see like, oh, wow, it's 21. Last year was 2020. You know, if Giannis is just dominant as he is last year, they're better. They got Drew Holiday. The issue is their offense is Giannis. Their offense isn't Drew Holiday. Their offense isn't PJ Tucker or whoever else they add or can hit shots. It's Giannis. And when Giannis can't hit free throws, make wide open jump shots, can't even hit, can't even guard. I mean, James Harden was guarding him on one leg. Like, how disrespectful is that let me not say that word, but if you care about the sport, if you are who you think you are. So, I mean, hey, this is who I thought Giannis was. I wasn't surprised. I knew if it's within a reach, Kevin's going to take it from Giannis because Giannis isn't built that way. Giannis, Reggie Miller, Patrick Ewing, the list goes on and on of great regular season players. And there's nothing wrong with that, bro. You can be a regular season player. Just like I say, Russell Wilson is an amazing stay-at-home dad. You can live that, bro. Like, live your truth. But don't be out here selling fool's gold, talking about, yeah, I'm the best in the league. I remember when he beat LeBron that one time, tried to like crown him, tried to put the crown on his head. You know, when he dunked on Blake Griffin in the previous game, he wanted to flex and put his tongue out. It's different when the pressure's on and it's time to really show up.
And one thing I'll say to everything that you said right there, no, Giannis has not been held to that standard that he should be held to as a superstar. But as you all know, I've been questioning throughout this series, does Giannis truly work on his perimeter game in the offseason? I have not seen any changes in this. It was the same as it was in 2018 when they lost to the Celtics in the first round, 2019 when they lost to Toronto in the conference finals after Kawhi just put the clampers on him, last year against the Heat in the bubble, and now what's going on now. And it's okay if Giannis can't shoot threes right now. It's okay if he doesn't have that consistent mid-range jumper. He needs to work on it, but as of right now in this moment, it's okay. But go back to doing what you do well. When Giannis was actually playing well in the game last night, he was taking it down in the paint, he was barreling down, he was putting his head down, he was going down in the paint. Brooklyn doesn't have anybody who one-on-one can stop him down in the paint. We know that for a fact. Now, is that going to help translate to wins? That part I don't know, because you have that 7-foot monster, Kevin Durant, who can pull up from 30 like it is nothing. Last night, that was Rucker Park Durant, as people were saying on Twitter. Now, but as far as Giannis goes, do what you do best. Don't try to go outside of your game, because that's when you start tricking up the offense and you start doing dumb stuff, just trying to keep up with what Brooklyn's doing. And your offense isn't built the way that Brooklyn's offense is built. Let's go ahead and let's hear from Randolph next, and then we'll hear from Matt, the resident Bucks apologist.
Shout out to KD, man. Shout out to KD. Like, that guy, Kyrie out. James Harden, we don't know if he's going to play or not. You know, he ended up playing. You know what I'm saying? Dropped 49. Should have had 50. Missed that free throw, man. Triple-double. 49-point triple-double in the playoff game. Played all 48 minutes. So, big shout-out to him. Jeff Green as well. Knocking down all them threes. Blake Griffin played well. But the Bucks, man, the Bucks, 17-point lead, and like listening to those guys at halftime, and they were just talking about how the Bucks play like stupid basketball because they take advantage of like no matchups that they actually have. You see all those pointers they had with Brook Lopez, and then you go down to the end of the game where Giannis has James Harden on him in the post. Harden literally says he needs no help, and he settles for a turnaround jumper. The Bucks, man, they to Lawrence's point, you know, they said it's a different team. They said it's a different team. These guys look the same. No matter who they add in, they are folding in the playoffs. This is a golden opportunity for them. No Kyrie, James Harden limited. Even though he played 46 minutes, this was their opportunity. They had a 17-point lead in the first half, and they just could not slow down KD in the second half. So big shout out to KD. You know, having one of those legendary performances. A lot of people question, oh, can he lead a team, this, da, 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 without the super team. And last night he came out and said, all right, I got y'all. And put the team on his back, along with a little bit of help. But shout out to KD.
And also, let me give a shout out to the Brooklyn Nets fans, because last night was retribution for what happened to you 7 years ago. The last person who came into Brooklyn and dropped 49 on you was LeBron on the Heat in Game 4, or was it Game 3? It was one of those.
It was 4.
Game 4. He should have had 50 that night as well. Ironically, he missed a free throw.
Facts.
But last night, they were on the other side of that. And that was 7 years ago, and we are here to focus on what is now. And now it appears to be Brooklyn's time, because I believe that's one of those true momentum swinging games. I don't even see the Bucks coming out and playing with any type of energy tomorrow.
They'll come out at the start.
It might have
to get done at
but
halftime.
throughout the duration of the game, I just don't see it.
I'm tired of watching my Nets starting off the game getting beat by almost 20. That's one thing I will say about my Nets is, you know, as dominant as we are offensively, we can score. What I did see yesterday is what I've continually saw is that it takes us almost 2 possessions to score when the Bucks were scoring pretty much every single time they wanted to. And it took until almost the mid-third quarter for us to at least start making some stops. But as Randolph said and them on the halftime show, the Bucks did everything they could to purposely lose that game. They should have closed us away in that first quarter. They should have closed us away every single time I saw Mike James guarding Brook Lopez, and he kept shooting a three-pointer. Every single time I've seen, you know, Giannis deciding that he wanted to pull up a 3 because he was open. I mean, come on now. Like, this is not the time to be working on your darn game. This is the time for you to be going to the rack and just finishing us off. I was like, it's one of those things when you play with your food, that's kind of when the opposite happens. You know, the food's going to fight back at some point. You know, it's just how it is. And I truly believe that this series is over, and mainly because the Bucks, that was like one of those shots that was just like, that really would kill a team. Kevin Durant really went out there and did the job that he was supposed to do, and it might have just taken the life out of this team. We might not hear about PJ Tucker no more about the rest of this series.
The biggest problem I see with Milwaukee, and they're always going to have this problem, is that Giannis is their best player, and he can't shoot any free throws. As long as he continues to go to the rack and keeps getting fouled, the fact that he can't shoot free throws is always going to kill them.
And to Xavier's point on Giannis is working on his game and stuff like that, the only thing I saw Giannis do consistently for the past 2 games, especially that game yesterday, was that he'll go to the mid-range line, realize he can't get to the rack, so he'll back all the way back out to the 3 and rev up like a car and try to drive right back into it. And he got a lot of charge calls, and he got ripped in the paint doing that. You can't just be so one-dimensional. His craft is very limited in basketball. So, you know, it's one of those things where I think that Giannis needs to take the offseason a little bit more seriously and not like the weight room like he showed on Instagram with him and his brothers. Weight room is only a part of the game.
And
they say LeBron ain't got no bag.
The point that Eli just made, let me bring this up once again. Who do we see him also do that against? We saw him do that against the Raptors when they put Kawhi and Pascal Siakam on him in 2019. He knows he can't really get that mid-range shot. back all the way out to the three-point line and try to drive. Nope, that didn't work. How about last year in the bubble when he had Jimmy Butler all over him? At times, Jay Crowder too, doing the same thing. Nope, that didn't work then, and it's not working now either. So at some point, I came in our group chat, and I said a few weeks ago, and even though it was probably seen as jokingly, I meant what I said when I said the Bucks need to go hire Jesus Shuttlesworth, a.k.a. Ray Allen, as the shooting coach.
Thanks.
He couldn't even help him, bro. Like Randolph said, he focuses too hard on lifting, and it's like I don't know if he understands he's a basketball player, not a weightlifter, but it's like him and his brothers want to turn the Milwaukee Bucks into like a frat house where all they do is shotgun beers all day and get on social media and troll people. It's like, bro, nobody's doing, like, Bron don't even work out weights that hard. What are you doing, dog? He tried getting Kyle Culver in there to help him with his shooting, bro. And if Kyle can't help you with your shooting, ain't no way on God's green earth that Jesus Shuttlesworth can help you with your shooting. Like, you got the white man helping you.
Well, a lot of this also comes down to mind over matter. Is he willing to even want to get better at that part of his game? And I don't want to say that he's not, but it doesn't appear that there has been an effort made. Well, it is his time, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for Matt to explain himself right now and explain his original prediction of Bucks in 6. Now he is at Bucks in 7. I don't know where he stands after last night's performance by Kevin Durant, but let's go, Matt. The floor is yours.
Are you sure it's mine? I don't want to say one thing and everybody jump on me. Are you sure it's mine? Because
The floor is yours. You have said
it's a lot I can say.
Look, me as a Nets fan,
I'm gonna get cut off halfway through my soliloquy. So let me start by saying this.
Do your thing.
Calm down. I remember this same conversation being had when the Bucks went down 0-2 and got beat by, and they was up by 50. Oh, it's over. Oh, it's done. They about to get swept. Giannis this, PJ this, Bucks this. They all who we always thought they were. Then what happened? Bucks came back, beat them 2 times at home, and I didn't hear much from nobody. It was quiet. I mean, when the Bucks lose, I'm here to talk. When the Bucks win, I'm here to talk. I'm always here to talk. Me. So I don't run from conflict. I don't run from debates. I'm here to talk at any moment. So when they lost up, when they was down 0-2, I was sitting in the group chat getting my jokes off. When they went up 0-2, I was in the group chat talking to myself. But it's all good. It's all good. So we're here now. So now we're going into game 6 back in Milwaukee where they already won 2 games. And y'all just said Kevin Durant can't have another game like he just had. Let me start this off by saying congrats to KD. You have finally reached the status of being the best player in the world. You've been trying to get there your whole career. You've been in LeBron's shadow your whole career. It's been a thorn in your side. You went to Golden State and you thought they was gonna give it to you. They didn't give it to you. You won a championship, they didn't give it to you. You won your second championship, they didn't give it to you. You got 2 finals MVPs, so you just said, forget it. I'm done chasing this title of being the best in the world. I'm gonna go start something to Brooklyn. And now he's in Brooklyn. LeBron lost in the first round, and he's doing this thing. I give him that. But let's throw some context out there. Everybody's talking about how Giannis is scared of the whole KD. Let's talk about this. KD, his last 2 games was not good games. Y'all understand that, right? Y'all like KD is dropping 50 every night. KD was like 9 for 20 something, damn near 9 for 30 this last game, and he had a bad game this other game. So that's what I'm trying to understand. Y'all talking about this and this and this. KD just had 2 bad games. He went crazy. He played possessed. I give him that. He did his thing. And all credit, KD, you are now the best in the world. We had a strong since 2000 and what? LeBron got drafted in 03. He won his first MVP in 08. Since 07, LeBron James been the best player in the NBA. Since 07. So for a decade strong, LeBron James been the best player in the NBA. And now his time has come to hand that title off to someone else. But this is just like the time when Michael Jordan retired. When Michael Jordan retired after winning that first ring, the best player in the NBA went through a lot of players' hands. It went to Tim Duncan's hands. It went first to Shaq's hands. Then it was in Kobe's hands for a few. AI was in there for a mix. He won an MVP in 2003. Shaq won one in 2000. Tim Duncan won one in there. Then going into 04 to 08, it was between Tim and Kobe going back and forth. Then once LeBron came in the league, he shut it down for 10 years straight. So this is just like that. It's KD today. Tomorrow it may be Kawhi. Next week it may be Luka. Next week it may be Giannis again. So KD is not separated himself from the pack by so much like I think he has, like LeBron did for a decade straight. LeBron did it kind of how Jordan did it. Jordan was so much better than everybody else that the second best player in the NBA, which was Shaq, nobody even thought Shaq was on nowhere near Jordan level. That's how LeBron was. LeBron was so much better than everybody else. Nobody even thought KD was on LeBron's level. Now he stepped back. He's got old. You go see where he go next year. But now it's KD time, and I give him that. But I just want to give y'all need to stop being prisoners of the moment. Just relax. KD played a good game. He played possessed. He played an amazing game. He's now the best player in the world. It took him a little while to get there, but he's finally here, and I give him 100% credit. He did everything he had to do to win that game. He's an amazing player, but he did what he was supposed to do. He won at home. I'm not about to give you a cupcake for winning at home. You're an MVP. You going against an MVP. One MVP going against another MVP. And you're at home. I would have been more surprised if he would have lost. If he would have lost, do you know how bad the media would have tore Kevin Durant apart? Do you understand how bad the media would have tore him apart if he would have lost that game and all this talk about him being the best in the world and he lost that game? So he did what he was supposed to do. I give him credit for that. But I'm not about to give him a parade for winning this because the series not over. The series not over. And if the Bucks go off and win this next game and I get in this group chat and this crickets, I may leave the group chat because I'm tired of talking to myself. If I'm going to talk to myself, I might as well leave the group chat and talk to myself in the room after the Bucks win. Because when KD and them win, everybody in there going crazy. It's 20 notifications. The Bucks win, I might get 2 notifications. It's all good, though. I understand that's the nature of the sport. But I'm still sticking with my Bucks. I'm not giving up on them. Last 2 games they did good. They was at home. They going back home to defend home court. Giannis did let me down this game, but ain't like he played sorry. He played a good game, but he took his foot off their throats. That's what happened to him. He put up 30 and 10, over 30 and 10. So he played a good game. Lawrence talking about he shot 30% from the field. I don't know where you got that from, Lawrence. The man was like 14 for 22 or 14 for 24. The free throw line, he was 4 for 7. You said he shot 33%. 4 for 7 was the least.
Series.
That's just how it feels. Series. I don't know.
He said his last game.
Okay.
He said his last game.
All right.
Hold on. Can I get a rebuttal though? Can I get a rebuttal?
Yeah, I got you. I'm pretty sure y'all got a lot to say. We are prisoners of moments. I'm gonna let y'all have y'all moments. So y'all talk for 20. Y'all talk for the moment. Between the 4 of y'all talk for 20 minutes straight about KD and how amazing he was, and I just sit here and listen to it. So I didn't mind it. So yeah, man. Congrats to KD. He did his thing. He did what he was supposed to do if he is who y'all say he is. And I give him 100% credit to that. I always been a KD fan. KD, I say this to this day. KD was the first superstar to get drafted in the NBA when I started taking basketball serious. I already watched basketball, but I didn't start taking basketball serious until 06, 07. And KD was a freshman at Texas, and he got drafted number 2 overall. And from that moment, I started taking basketball serious. I started analyzing and watching it every day. So, boom, I'm always have respect for KD. But, yeah, he did what he was supposed to do. We're going back to Milwaukee. We're going to see how it goes there. Like I said, if we lose, y'all go see me. If we win, I don't want to be looking for y'all.
All right, so I'm going to say on this is, because he said everybody was crickets and stuff like that. One, I ain't never been a cricket when my Nets lost. I'm an advocate of wins and losses. My Nets lost on Sunday, and I came in the chat because I was out. I came back, saw the stuff in the chat. I responded, and I said, pretty solid dub for the Bucks. Didn't expect them to take both games at home. But I also didn't expect Kyrie to get hurt either. 2 days off, hopefully Kyrie can get back in time, but Kevin Durant's storyline will now change now that he has to carry this hurt team. I will always stand on my Nets win or loss. I just want to throw that one out there because that's a fact checker for me. I ain't never been quiet about my Nets. Whether I'm happy or losing, I've been through my Nets through the ringer. So we can be ups and we can be downs. I'm going to still talk about my Nets. We had the worst team, and I was out here still playing with them 2K people laughing at me. Why you picking them sorry Nets? I'm still going to pick my Nets over anybody. Next thing is, though, about the whole Kevin Durant situation, I already said it. I said game in 6. So I'm going to stand on my games in 6. I ain't going to change it to say game in 7 all of a sudden. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stand on it. If I'm wrong in game in 6, I'm wrong in game in 6. I said this is the best team we've played in the regular season. They beat us twice. I knew exactly what we were getting into. So Series 4-2 is still what I stand on. if I was that strong about my Nets, thinking that we were the best thing ever walking, and that we were the best, and Katie said who he is or whatever in third, I would have said Nets 4-0. But I'm not dumb. Even when we went up 2-0, I didn't say nothing in the chat because we up 2-0. As Kobe said, job's not done. Until I see them 4 wins, job's not done. If the Bucks somehow come back and beat us next game, and they end up winning a Game 7 in Brooklyn, hey, look, we weren't supposed to be there then. Because that's a crazy turn of events. That's like watching Atlanta right now. They not supposed to be there.
Y'all not supposed to be at Game 7 in Brooklyn? Why not?
You said what?
You said y'all not supposed to be at a Game 7 in Brooklyn?
I said we're not supposed to lose a Game 7 in Brooklyn. I said if we lose this next game and then we go to Brooklyn, I said I don't expect us to lose. And I said we lose Game 7 in Brooklyn, that means we weren't supposed to be there to begin with. That's what I meant. We weren't supposed to be there to begin with if we lose a Game 7. But at the end of the day, my Nets, we're a great team. Overall wise, we're put together well. But defense is our biggest issue against the Bucks. The Bucks are constantly exploiting us. And I will say every negative flaw my Nets have. We keep starting off every game down 15 plus, and I got to watch the game. At this point, I started turning the game off until the third quarter because I'm hearing notifications saying Nets down 20, Nets down 25. I'm like, all right, look, fourth quarter, let's watch the game. And the same thing with the Hawks I've been watching. Hawks be out here losing games, and here they come back. I'm like, all right, look, it is what it is. That's basketball. But one thing I will say is, though, Matt, I appreciate it. You've been a great, the opposition for when it came to my Nets because, you've been talking about my Nets since round 1 when you said, hey, look, y'all going to have to run into the darn the Bucks, and we're going to lose the series 4-2. Well, I guess that's changed so far because we got 3 wins, and we're going to Game 7 now. But I will be vocal whether we lose or win. So hopefully, you guys can back this up in 7. But of course, you're a man of your word. So I hope you stand on that 6 prediction and you stand on that 7 prediction.
I mean, it can't be 6 no more. They already won 3 games. I mean, I was just wrong about that. I mean, ain't like I jumped off it because I jumped off it. I jumped off it because the Bucks.
Matt, I gotta say something to one thing that you said because you talked about not being a prisoner of the moment. You did come on here and tell our audience some false statements. LeBron James has been the best player in the world since 2007. So I'm supposed to gloss over the fact that Kobe Bryant was in LA doing his thing during those years. He won the MVP in 2008. He carried his team to a championship in 2009, beat a super team in 2010. I'm supposed to act like that didn't happen and that LeBron, who came up short in the Eastern Conference Finals against Orlando and against
who was Kobe playing with?
He only had one All-Star on that roster, actually, and that was Pau Gasol. Everybody else was role players.
And who was Lamar Odom, a 6th man of the year, right?
I said All-Star. He did only have one All-Star.
Okay,
Lamar did the All-Star team.
Give content. He had an All-Star. He had a 6th man of the year, and he had Andrew Bynum. LeBron.
What was Andrew Bynum that year? What did Andrew Bynum win that year?
Listen. He had Bynum. LeBron would have loved Bynum. His best player was Boobie Gibson. I might as well could have been Boobie. I could have been Boobie. I could have been that for LeBron. His best player was Boobie, and Kobe's over there with Paul, Lamar, and Bynum. Y'all talking about the tables was even. LeBron lost to the Celtics. Kobe beat the Celtics. Give some content if you're going to give it. Be honest if you're going to be honest. Come on, man. The teams were not equal. Come on, man. Be honest if you're going to be honest.
All I know is that the Celtics had a super juggernaut on that team. They had a big 4, and they had a bench that had Tony Allen and Rasheed Wallace coming off of it. That was a problem. The Lakers got it done. Kobe got it done. And I'll give you that LeBron has been the best player in the league for a decade. I'll say that started in 2011. I can't say that started in 2007 like you just did. It was impressive that he got his team to the finals in 2007. But
I mean, he did win MVP. I mean, back to back.
Giannis won MVP.
Yeah, but we had MVP and then following that up by winning 2 championships.
Giannis won MVP back to back, but nobody ever said Giannis was the best in the world. That's what I'm saying. If people are like, if y'all agree that LeBron has been the best player in the world for a decade, he started winning MVP back to back in 2008. That means he was at his peak, around his peak when he won MVP. So you saying he went from being the MVP to declining from that point? That wouldn't make sense. That means he started when he won MVP, and from that moment he continued on upper way to be the best player in the world. That's what that would mean. That would mean if y'all would say he wasn't the best when he won MVP, but he became the best when he stopped winning MVP. When he stopped winning MVP, that don't make any sense, in my opinion.
But what I'm saying is like you can win MVP early on in your career, and then like that could be the fall off point. I've seen plenty of players win MVP early on in the year, and then they fall off. But at the same time, I agree with you on the LeBron James point of like he started off and he's only elevated. Of course, that's obvious to see for us. You zoom out of the chart, you see that he's elevated constantly throughout his entire career from that MVP. That's something I can't debate. I can't debate that. I'm not on the side with Xavier when it comes to debating that. I mean, you trying to compare apples to oranges when you're talking about, his MVP caliber versus the talent that he's grown throughout his career. He's only gotten better. LeBron James did not get worse. But there has been MVPs that have won the MVP early in the career, and then you never heard from an MVP before after that.
Derrick Rose. I mean, it's not a lot, but Derrick Rose.
Yeah, of course. So, I definitely don't want to throw that in there and be like, oh, just because you won the MVP, it means that, you're the best in the world or whatever because you got it earlier on. But LeBron James, for sure, definitely proved that he was the best in basketball for about 10 years, as Xavier put in there as well. But other than that, man, as I said before, my Nets, they're doing well. I appreciate Matt in here because, he's definitely the only person I knew was going to say, Bucks. So it's definitely been a great back and forth because, one, Matt is huge on facts, which is great. But when you're watching the Bucks and the Nets, there's only so much facts that you can put in there outside of just grit because that's really what these two teams are doing is just battling it out. Not really much statistics going into these wins and losses. It's just really just battles. So
that's a fact. Ain't much you can do when KD go crazy like that. I mean, ain't no analytics facts go save you.
I must say,
go nuclear like that. Ain't nothing save you.
I must say, to that point, Matt, not even the KD stopping himself could have went out there and did anything to stop KD last night. You know what I'm saying? So, KD, hey, you got it, bro. I'm gonna go ahead and remove that name.
Giannis also still been scoring 30 plus. That has to be said as well. Giannis is still scoring 30 plus with his unorthodox way of playing basketball. Even though it's not basketball, he's just playing street ball out there.
Problem is where it's
and ain't nobody. Why y'all not telling KD to hold Giannis?
He do.
No, he don't.
No, hold on. There have been more
But
times that in transition, there's been a switch where KD will pick him up. It's like Giannis is running away from the shit, bro. It's like Giannis is not looking for that matchup.
Okay, tell me this. This is an honest question. I noticed this when I was watching the first couple of games against Giannis and KD. Not saying KD doing anything that he's not supposed to do going against the game plan. Everybody in the NBA do it. Come down. The player that wants you checks you. You get a screen to get the weaker defender. If that happens, and I'm just asking, if that happens, does that mean that offensive player is running from that matchup, or he's just trying to get his best matchup for him? Like,
I agree with you on that. You play basketball to get your best matchup. That's what screens are there for. You always want to put the guard on the bigger man, vice versa. But I do say that, when we put it in the chat earlier on, I said that, no one in the world can guard Kevin Durant. And you said, Giannis is going to get his buckets too. And I said, neither one of them going to guard each other. It's not possible. KD can't guard Giannis. And I don't think Giannis will ever be able to guard KD. So that matchup we'll probably never see. And we want to say we're running from those matchups. I get it. The league wants to see a defensive player like Giannis guarding Kevin Durant. But in reality can he guard Kevin Durant? Absolutely not.
I agree with that point. My thing is just trying to. Oh, go ahead. My fault.
No, I was just saying quick. Giannis is Giannis is a safety in a football game. You're not gonna put your best safety on the best receiver because he can't hold him. He's like a safety. He kind of plays defense to LeBron late in his career. Like he plays the back. He plays the help. He does that. But he's not like he's not Dion where you can stick him on your best play and just say lock him up. He's not that. He's not quick enough. He's not fast enough. If you want him to hold a big man, he can do that all day. At the end of the day, Giannis technically is a big man.
I find that comparison actually kind of funny because it's like when you think of a safety, the safety just has over the top coverage no matter what. But I feel like in basketball, we've seen through the decades when it becomes like the best player versus the best player, at one point in the game down the stretch, you at least want to say, all right, bro, everybody else that tried to guard him, it ain't working for them. I don't know how many other players on the Bucks team have a defensive player of the year under their belt, But at least I want to see you try. Now, if you get torched, cool, bro. Like, we all know you can't guard him. But show the heart. Show the want to. I mean, show the, look, bro, tell PJ, whoever, I'm going to guard him right now. It's not working for you. And that's my thing with Giannis. It's like, bro, it's like you're just bending over and saying, give it to me how you want, Kevin. It's like, bro, like, show some. Bro, if we being real right now, I don't care if you got to give him one of them good 90s fouls when he come across the lane. Send him a message, dog, that it's like, look, bro, you're going to have to work tonight. You have to bring your lunch pail and your bucket and work. Giannis just be like, oh, Pat Covington, you got him. Go ahead. Oh, PJ Tucker, I know you're giving your best. You're roughing him up. You're playing tough. Kevin's 7 foot, bro. He's rising up over that. And Giannis, time and time again, I might have seen 3 times in the game where Giannis stuck with the assignment or took the assignment from somebody to get on KD. All I'm looking for is that fight and that heart. That's all I'm looking.
It's still in his head.
And
It's still in his head from game
I know
two.
we gotta move on to the next segment, but I just want to say shout out to my boy Elijah Bryant. If you ever get to see this, I graduated high school with him at Mill Creek. Sadly, his very first possession out there was getting shot on by Kevin Durant. But shout out to Elijah Bryant out there. You got picked up from being overseas. So big stuff for you ahead. You got to be in the playoffs. You got to at least get the Steelers fight. But shout out to Elijah.
One thing I would say to end it, as far as this being one of Kevin Durant's one of his best performances ever in the playoffs, even in his career. This is one of his best performances ever. It's not the best performance I ever seen, but it is one of the best performances ever. If this was a Game 7, this probably would have been the best performance I ever seen. If this was a Game 7, it's just the degree of difficulty wasn't that high. But if this was a Game 7 or like a closeout game, them like they was down 3-2. Now, that probably would have been the best game I ever seen in my life. But it's just the degree of difficulty. One thing I would say about this is I'm glad to see us not to have so many super teams, because we finally got to see how great players can be individually, like Kevin Durant. Like, we probably wouldn't have got that if James Harden and Kyrie was both healthy. So to see him do that, that's something I love to see. That's like old school 90s, 2000s basketball. AI game 1 versus the Lakers, just go out there and get us one. Like, we don't really get that no more because everybody's so stuck on super teams and teaming up with people that we don't get that no more. Even Steph Curry, when he was without KD and Clay, like, we probably ain't got the season we got from Curry this season. If he still had KD or if he had Clay with him, he wouldn't have went crazy like that. So to see players, like to see players show how great they are on the stage by themselves is a great thing to see. And I'm glad KD was able to give us that. It sucks that Harden was kind of not himself, and it sucks that Kyrie is out. But for KD to put that show on like that, for players like Curry to have a whole season when he's just dropping 40 on people's head, dropping 10 threes a game, it's good to see that coming since we are in like a super team era.
All right, and I'm going to go ahead and close out the show on that right there. Once again, big ups to KD for that epic performance last night. Big ups to the Atlanta Hawks for coming back tonight. And prayers out to CP3 and Kawhi Leonard. Hopefully this is not the end of their seasons. Very hopeful for that.
Thanks.
I want to thank my brothers.
Real quick, the Clippers are up by 3 in the third, 73-70. I think they're about halfway through the third.
They are. Eli, I ain't gonna even do you like that. Eli did have something to say after the Bucks lost. I would say that. I recant that statement. Lawrence and X was the ones that was running, but Eli, you did say something. So I recant that statement and say Eli did stand on his book. I mean, he stand on his team. So that's on me.
Glad we got that straight. I'm glad we got that straight. I was like, what a loss. I'm there. Glad we got
respect. You are. I give you that.
And we'll have to wait and see if the Clippers can continue to hold off the Utah Jazz at this point. But big ups to them for playing how they're playing tonight, and big ups to Paul George, who right now is living up to the playoff P moniker. But with that being said, I want to thank my brothers for joining me here tonight. Always good to be on with you guys. We missed the ladies on our show tonight. We hope to have you guys back the next time. And as I said at the beginning of the show, y'all, go get that family time in. Go get that time in with your friends. don't worry so much about money and possession things. You can earn all of that stuff back. It's your time that you can't get back. And memories are very precious, and make sure you build them with those that you care about and you love, and those that genuinely love you and care about you for who you are and not what you can do for them. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and close out this show by simply saying, for Randolph Barrett, Eli West, Matt Craig, and Lawrence Vaughn, I'm the X-Factor, Xavier McKnight, and this has been another edition of Xtreme Sports. We'll see y'all next time.